Today, we're going to work with the materials that you completed yesterday. You have a background paper with a winter snow at the bottom and a beautiful cool color sky above. And then I had you complete a brown paper that we filled with brown crayon or marker or paint or whatever you had, but you had to complete it by coloring both the front and the back. Today, we're going to start building a tree on this paper using the brown paper. So you are going to need a pair of scissors and you are going to need a glue stick. If you don't have those things right now, I would pause the video and go get them, return and pick up there. If you are prepared, the next step is to cut the brown piece of paper into some rather skinny strips that we're going to be making branches out of today. Now, I want you to watch how closely I take these cuts so that my strips are all about a pinky width from the edge of your paper each time I cut. So you're not measuring anything, you're not, making these exactly right. All I need you to do is line the scissors up about a pinky width from the edge and then try as best you can to cut in a straight line so that when this falls away, it's pretty straight. You don't want one side to get really wide. You don't want it to come in and out and get wonky. You want to create a nice thin strip of paper. And we're going to do that a couple of times. We'll count to see what we can get. There's number 2, and I just did it the same way. And we're gonna slide over and do number 3. And if one's a little bit skinnier and one's a little bit wider, that is no big deal. We can still use them. So there's 3. Number 4. Number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8. Okay. I have cut 8 skinny strips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to set those aside. And now we have this larger one. This is going to become the trunk of our tree. But this trunk, it's too big right now. It's too wide. It needs to be shaved in a little bit. So we're going to do this and try and make this trunk as realistic as possible. And the way I want you to try and do that is we're going to start cutting right here on the bottom corner. That would be the right-hand corner. We're going to curve in, and then we're going to turn and fly up, keeping it pretty straight. So it looks like the roots are jutting out at the bottom. So I've curved in. I'm going to curve back straight, and I'm just going to cut straight off the paper again. Now, a little tip for you. You are going to want to keep these 2 scraps we're about to cut away. This is the first one. Keep this and keep it separate. Even though it looks similar in size to the paper strips, you can tell by this curve at the bottom it's not the same. We can use these scraps later on. So I'm going to set that separate up there. Then I want to do the same thing to this side, but instead of trying to change hands with scissors, which would be really hard, I'm just going to flip the paper over so now the curve is on the left side, and I can do that from the right side because the paper flipped over. Come in, turn and go up, and just try and stay pretty straight. So there is my second scrap with a curved bottom. We're going to set that aside with the first one. And then if I plant my tree trunk in the snow, I don't want it all the way on the bottom. I don't want it floating above the snow. I want it about halfway up in the snow, but that makes our tree too tall. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna cut some off the top. It's gonna be probably from your knuckle to the tip of your finger, I'm gonna put a little crease there to tell me that's where to cut it. And I'm just gonna shorten that a little bit. This scrap might come in handy later, so I'm gonna put that with those scraps I told you to keep. Now that's made our main trunk a little bit shorter. So if I place it halfway in my snow, it comes up just past halfway up my paper. I like that perfectly. So this is where I am going to put some glue and stick this down. Now there is no back of your paper because both sides are brown, so it doesn't matter which side you're putting your glue on. Put a nice coat of glue on there. Plant the bottom of the tree in the snow, about halfway. And then gently squish that down. Now, we have those 8 skinny strips. These are going to become the branches of our tree. They're going to be too long, but don't cut them. There's a reason we need them to be long that I will show you tomorrow. We're going to take probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these and add them right to the top of the trunk. And these 2 other ones, I'm gonna put down here lower on the tree, like some big main branches that are closer to the snow. So the way that you have to add these, you do have to be pretty generous with the glue so that it sticks. And of course, I've also always taught you, if I put glue on the end of the branch and I put glue on the tree where I want it to stick, and I attach glue to glue, this is way more likely to hold than just putting glue and sticking it down. When you attach glue to glue, especially with glue stick, it sticks much better and works correctly. So I put a little glue on my branch and glue on my tree trunk, attach glue to glue. And those first 2 branches make it look like a Y, although it's not at the top of the trunk. It's below that a little bit. And now I'm going to add these other 6 to the top of the trunk. So each one gets some glue and some glue at the top of the trunk to attach it to. This first one, I'm going to bring off the edge of the top of the trunk. The other one's going to go off the other side of the top of the trunk. And I put glue all over the top already, so I don't need to keep doing that. Now it looks a little bit like a stick bug, doesn't it? That's kind of funny. It looks like a cartoon character. And I'm going to keep going. Now I have covered up most of the glue that I put on the top of my trunk. So as I add glue to this one, I might want to put glue on top of those. This one's going to stick out on this side from there. We're going to do one on the opposite side from there. And I still have glue there, so I'm okay. Now I've got 2 more to do. So I'm going to put glue on top of these. Glue on the end. I'm going to overlap this one a little bit between there. And my last one, if I can get hold of it, glue on the end. I'm not sure there's glue there, so I'm going to double check and put some there. And this one's going to go off in that direction. Now, we need to let this sit and dry before we can go on to the next step. So this is where we will stop here today. Please place this somewhere safe so these can dry for tomorrow for us to use it. Take those scraps that I told you to keep. You should have 2 off the sides of the trunk, and then that piece that you shaved off to make it a little bit shorter. Keep those with this, just don't put it anywhere near the glue, and store that safely for tomorrow. We will pick up here tomorrow, boys and girls. I will see you then. Have a lovely day.